Welcome back to the Back Nine, round one of the 2024 Tournament Capital Open presented by Dynamic Discs. This coverage is brought to you by PDGA Canada. Your player fees get reinvested back into Canada. And the patrons of Parked Pro, they're just the best. If you meet one out in the street, give them a hug, give them a high five. They are making this stuff possible. My name is Matt Lisac. Back with me, Jesse Tomalty. Jesse, we've seen some highs, we've seen some lows, we saw an ace. What more do we want to see in this back nine?
Yeah, there's been some great golf so far. We've seen a lot of the guys be successful and stumble on a couple of the tougher challenges. Most of all, I am super excited to see the back nine of this Copper Ridge course in Logan Lake. We saw the front nine, the changes that were made, and I thought it was very tasteful, keeping the spirit of the original course in, but kind of updating it to a modern tournament standard course.
Yeah. Well, we're going to see some pretty talented players go after it here. Thomas Gilbert is in the lead on this feature card, at least. He is not in the lead for the tournament, but he is up on Justin Zimmer by 1, Carver by 3, and Nick by 4 here after 9 holes. Thomas Gilbert throwing for Thought Space Athletics. He's got that brand new Numa putter going for him. I think it's been an improvement since last year on his putting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thomas is known for his ability to putt really well from deep, and I think we'll get an opportunity to see a little bit more of that. Got some emerging storylines, hoping to see Nick Culver kind of right the ship and finish strong here, and see if Justin and Thomas can sneak their way up into that leader group. We saw some chase card or alternate card, I guess, check-ins in round one, and he's just 1 off or 2 off of that share of the lead right now.
Yeah, and now joining him on hole 15, he's a few holes ahead, but Miguel Alvarado going to 5 down there. We got a bunch of guys in the hunt. It's a really compressed leaderboard here up at the top, so there's going to be a lot of movement, I think, in this back nine. All right, hole 10, 278 feet. Looks like a straight shot. It is a straight shot with a putter or a mid, but there's some airspace up to the left that we might see some people take as well. I like the straight shot at it, but I guess if you can force over a forehand, there might be a little bit more open space up there. So it's going to be player's choice on this one.
Yeah, we've seen the guys leaning on their forehands, hitting some of these gaps like we'll see from Thomas here. I kind of expect to see Justin take that backhand line straight up the gut, but this looks like a well-shown throw. Thrown shot from Thomas.
Sure, easy for you to say. That looked like something slower, maybe an approachy type of disc. It just sort of fell out of the sky at the end instead of going with something a little more high speed, which is what we see Carver going with here. He catches some branch, but he gets...
Yeah, a little bit of foliage slowing that one down, stopping it from getting in there, but we know that putt is still well within the Carver range.
Oh, yeah. If it's in the same time code, Carver's going to go for it and have a pretty good chance of making it. And we are still in BC time over there, so.
Justin making me eat my words going forehand as well. He leaves his a little low and left, but gets a little lucky to sneak all the way to pin high there.
Wow. That's kind of how tight you'd almost have to take it. He goes a little bit left and a little bit long. He's going to have some shrubbery to deal with on the putt there. All forehands on this one.
All forehands. I guess they just like the additional airspace to swing that one in.
Ooh.
Talk about swinging one in. That's that putt we were talking about. That's all day.
Yeah. Carver's jogged in a few putts before in his life.
Absolutely. One of the deadliest putters I've ever seen, even from the time he was a teenager. Mm-hmm. Or he still is a teenager.
Yeah.
A pre-teenager, maybe.
Since he became a teenager.
It's a little low from Justin there.
Okay. Definitely looks like maybe a rose bush in his way. It's a spiky unpleasantness all around him.
Yeah, these putts are always so challenging because the bush itself, you see that Nick doesn't convert on that one. The branches being in your putting stroke is as much in your hands as it is in your head, and they're very, very difficult to get past.
Yeah, nice putt there by Thomas. You practice your putts with the same extension every time. People will practice straddle putts, they'll practice ante putts, they'll practice hyzer putts, but you don't really get to practice a putt where your arm is obstructed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's almost something that some people should try and practice, or an alternate putting style. We saw Ryan Watson in round one there going for the turbo putt, And there's a definite practical use for it.
Oh, yeah. Beauty. Thomas loves it in the background. Who doesn't love a big putt?
Speak of the devil, here is Ryan Watson with the conventional putt. And as I say that looks like he just putt with a driver.
It did look like it, didn't it?
That is 100% a driver. Yeah, there's nothing conventional about that.
Yeah. All right, hole 11. This is another dealer's choice kind of thing. From the tee, there's sort of a middle gap that you can see on the right. And then there's also a kind of gap on the left there. It's way tighter, but you can power a Firebirdie type of disc on a forehand through that gap if you want. I like the middle gap. It's kind of the most obvious gap from the tee, and it's one of those, if you can see it, it's easier than having to imagine it a little bit here. So 305 feet, a little bit of drop off after the basket, but this is a relatively safe hole. You just got to hit one of the two gaps on it.
Yeah, you see Thomas reaching for the forehand again. I kind of would have expected more of a backhand shape earlier, just with that drop off behind. These types of forehands, when they're coming in with some edge, they can produce some skips that would make that hillside a little dangerous, and Thomas's actually checks up perfectly.
Yeah, if you're a pro, you can control the skip after it leaves your hand. That's just called being good at disc golf, Jesse.
Yeah, it comes with your tour card, actually, the remote control for the landing.
No way. I got to send away for one of those things.
Carver leaving his a bit short. Justin throwing the line,
Wow.
Kind of what I would have expected.
Looks like he also caught a high branch there, kind of stopped the flight. Cool idea.
No more trouble on the upshot, but still a lot of an ask, especially with the drop behind for a putt.
Yeah. And this is the problem with a guy like Nick, who's been living close to sea level now for a while. He gets up to that 1,100 foot or meter elevation, and once you get one of those discs way up in the air, it has no chance of staying turned over. And he just got burned by a little bit too high to pull off that turnover play.
Yeah, he might have even been helped by having some trees in the way, because that looked like it was high enough to fall very far to the right.
Oh, yeah. Does Justin want anything to do with this? Maybe. Hard to say.
He's looking at it, but I don't think he's looking at it because it was a run. He was looking to make sure his layup didn't roll off the backside. That's a smart play with the drop there.
I don't think Carver knows what a layup is. Goes for it, hits cage. Almost back-to-back highlight putts there from Carver.
Yeah, that would have been absolutely huge.
Yeah. And after the great drive, Thomas goes to 6 down. So he's starting to put a little separation on these guys.
Yeah, you can see the pedigree showing a little bit. The simple mistakes aren't happening for him the same way as they are for the other guys.
Yeah, you can't beat the consistency of somebody that's a real touring pro, Mm-hmm. Eric Hjorth-Olsen, up and down round so far, but he's in the top 10. And on his card, Ryan Watson, he laid up here on hole 16 for the par, but he's still tied for second. So he, with 2 holes to go, he's got a chance to get himself onto lead card going into the second round.
Yeah, you can see he's got a bogey-free scorecard there. That's what you like to see in your first round of the tournament. Steady, consistent, good play. A good omen for the rest of the event.
Yeah, a spruce forest and bogeys go together like peanut butter and jam. Hole 12, 300 feet, plays a little bit downhill. It's a little bit of distance control on this one because of the downhill, especially at the finish there. You could end up being 50 feet short, or you can end up being 50 feet long pretty easily. But first thing, you got to get it through the tunnel.
This seems to be the most straightforward challenge these guys have had so far. Seems like a pretty stock hole to play for any disc golfer that's been around for a while.
Yeah. Except for this bum, Thomas Gilbert, doesn't know what he's doing with a disc.
It's crazy. These guys have made me eat my words on every other tee box. But I suspect these other guys will get off the tee a little better.
Yeah, I think either early release or he didn't quite get the amount of Anheuser he wanted on that one. Either way, Carver is saying, we'll just throw a forehand. Easy done. Maybe circle's edge. Maybe just a little outside.
Yeah. We can see the wind picking up a little bit here, which might make this shot from Justin a little bit touchier, the floaty putter versus the driver forehand, but you wouldn't know based on how he executes it.
Beautifully done. That's a Justin Zimmer shot in my mind. Just something with the most gentle, subtle turnover on it, staying straight. And Nick trying to follow suit just leaves it a little bit low. I think this was a tailwind. I could be wrong.
Yeah, you can see the wind picking up, and this might be the most exposed area they've played in so far. Once you miss that initial gap, there's a lot of potential for the wind to come in.
Yeah, definitely. These next few holes, most of the finishing holes actually are relatively open, kind of on the top of the hill. So we're at the highest elevation point on this course right now, and there's a pretty serious elevation gain as you make your way up from 1 up here to 11, 12, and then you start making your way back down. Another great putt from Carver.
Yeah, we'd love to see that putter get going for him. That is such a weapon for him.
And just off
Thomas
again
just
for
leaves him
Thomas.
out.
Like, it's hard to say he's having a bad round because he's 6 down and he's right up close to the lead now through 12 holes, but mistakes that we don't normally see Thomas Gilbert make.
Yeah, and a putt we don't usually see Mr. Zimmer miss as well. That's unfortunate because I thought that was all of it but a tap-in birdie for him. But back to Thomas, I do think that a few missed putts on the front and this one here would put him standalone in the lead.
Oh, yeah, he is chucking the disc as good as anybody out there for sure. All right. Thank you again to the district of Logan Lake. This Logan Lake course is only a half hour outside of Kamloops, but it is like an entirely different biome. Is that the right word? Kamloops is a lot of sage, a lot of sort of deserty type conditions, and this is like a lakeside getaway with a spruce and pine forest in it. It is just a beautiful complement to the Kamloops courses if you ever get out there.
Yeah, and if you've been to Logan Lake before, it's a little bit of a hop, skip, and a jump off a kind of side highway. So you don't get a bunch of traffic. It's very quiet and tranquil and a great place to relax and play some fun disc golf.
Yeah, you can go play around and then hang out at the beach of Logan Lake. Go to the little corner grocery store, grab some sodies. Hole 13, 355 feet. This one also plays downhill. It is a straight to hyzer shot for most of these guys. Just try and kind of nestle it into this hillside. Leave yourself with an inside circle putt if you can. You cannot see the basket, but the fairway is pretty well defined to give you an aiming point. So anybody that's kind of been through here once has an idea where they're going on this one. And it should be reasonably routine for our top pros out here as Carver leaves it just a little bit short.
Yeah, it looks like Carver might be close to mid to late circle 2. Him using all the fairway on that flex shot. But more of a stock hyzer for someone like Justin. Boom.
Yeah.
He's in there.
That's how you get it done.
I'm sure the challenge on this hole is just to make sure you don't saw it off early and cut yourself off in the trees, giving yourself a challenging approach. This one from Nick looks just as good. Keeping it wide, letting it swing in.
Yeah.
Gets a little tree at the end, but that's still something that if he has his putt going, he'll make.
He was throwing something very overstable there. You can see the wind is still a factor here. I think it's a headwind now. And we're just going to launch a hyzer into the green.
Yeah, Thomas. Not 2 in 1 round. Oh, my God.
Have you ever? Have you ever?
I have not. 355 feet is no short ace either.
Yeah,
Holy
so
smokes.
crazy shot on hole 13. I threw my Ora Votum just out there. Looked like a really nice shot even. I don't know if the camera caught it, but set on it like a sweet bullseye. And then I didn't realize it was that close into the bullseye because like apparently it skipped up and hit the chains. We didn't even know it until Colin came up and told me about 3/4 way up the fairway. So crazy ace. Yeah, I don't even think I've ever had a blind ace like that before where nothing like gave any kind of like intuition that it was an ace. So super, super cool.
Yeah, we did not know that disc went in. He threw it, and like he said, he was like, I guess that was pretty good. And then we all started walking down the hole because it was blind. It was a very soft chain hit. And there was only one person, that Colin guy, watching, and he didn't like hoot and holler or anything. So,
Hey, that's a great ace. And also shout out to that Colin guy, Colin McDaniel. He is like a long time Kamloops disc golf volunteer. He's out there spotting when he can't play. He's doing everything. And if I know Colin, he didn't jump up and down, not because he wasn't excited, but he would have had the thoughts of other players throwing on the course in mind.
I imagine that's
Speaking
exactly
of things
what it
in
was.
mind, that I don't even know if I'd call a miss putt. That seemed more on the edge of a spit out than anything.
Yeah, that was pretty pro side, right height, wasn't too low, wasn't too high. They call them disc catchers, but every
not
now
that
and then they just refuse to show up for work that day.
Yeah, that's one where I feel bad for Nick. He's been struggling to get his rhythm to play well, and then when the course kicks you when you're already down, yeah, he shows it on his face. He knows he didn't deserve it.
Yeah. Let's check back in with Sam Sullivan here on hole 16. This is for a birdie to tie Miguel in second, and he leaves it low, and you can hear the winds really starting to go out there now, and he is re-putting for par from the exact same spot. The wind is heavy enough that the chains are moving from the wind.
Oh no, the classic too low, too high.
Yeah.
Hate to see that for him when he's put the first blemish on his scorecard on 16.
Yeah. You hate the overcompensation, just like me and my jacked up Ford F350. Nobody wants to see it.
The truck or the compensation?
And Miguel running it down the hill. He is currently in P2, and he rolls his ankle on this downhill follow-through. So
yeah, that is one of the great dangers of mountain disc golf. When you're running through your step putt to get that push, you really got to be careful where you're stepping.
Yeah. And Griffin, who's tied for third, so both of these guys are in lead card territory here. Miguel's going to finish at 6 down. Very good round. Couple of early bogeys, but he made up for it on the back half. And Griffin also a little bit of an up and down round, but he's at 5 down. So these guys are giving themselves a great chance to get onto lead card here going into the second round.
Look at Miguel there. He's always such a positive guy in the course, bringing the spirits of his card up.
Yeah. Always a helpful guy on coverage, and he's just a great guy to have on a card. Hole 14. 467 feet, pretty significantly downhill. There's a gap that you got to hit, and I'm going to guess most of these people are going forehand, but there is a huge hyzer over the right if the wind is good. I don't think the wind was right for it on this round 1, but we may still see it anyway. And Thomas would have been the main culprit to go for it, him going forehand.
Looking long, but should par without too much drama for Thomas.
Yeah.
And Justin Zimmer got the backhand lined up. Oh, boy.
That's actually a great kick.
That is not the result he needs there. That looks like it'll be very challenging.
It's a very tight gap to get through, like 70, 80 feet in front of you.
All these guys can birdie holes like this, so I'm sure no one's planning for 3, but maybe that over-the-top hyzer, if you're getting a little nervous about the gap, could be a play that even pars in the poor wind.
Yeah, just getting through the gap for a lot of players would be the goal, but with these delicate flexi forehands here, oh, and this one's looks like it's blasted. Oh, no, it is very well done by Nick there.
Yeah, that shot just shows how quickly that hillside drops off behind. And when you have to commit to that shot, it's really about height control, I think, secondary after hitting the gap. Too high on a great line is still a very scary shot. These guys are addicted to hitting metal from deep. This is crazy.
You just can't stop Justin. He's the metal hunter today. That's a good recovery shot. If you make it to the next tee pad and your second shot hits the basket, that's a good recovery in my books. All right. From way downtown.
That's
just high.
Yeah, just high. And still, the putter finds the ground before it becomes too problematic.
Yeah.
Let's see what Carver can do here. That
The ramp
Again.
off.
not the result you're looking for, but it looks like it's settled before going too far.
Wow. And he makes the comebacker. That's a
No,
great
never a
putt.
doubt.
It doesn't feel good to make a putt like that for bogey, but you need all of those you can get.
Yeah, it feels a lot worse to miss it.
Yeah. And also a nice comeback for Thomas. Jesse, would you believe me if I told you this was the hardest hole on the course so far?
I think I would. Based on the distance, the other par fours are similar distance. And this is no small ask off the tee. And the green has its own problems as well.
Yeah, and we did see a couple of birdie putts, but no birdies on this card. No birdies on the entire day on hole 14.
No
Average.
birdies is surprising because I thought a few guys would have the skills to throw it very similar to how Nick Culver did there. Nick, unfortunately, just catching some band. Well committed on his putt, just a little high.
Yeah. Sam Sullivan on hole 17. He's at 4 down. His drive goes out of bounds. There's a little pocket of out of bounds on 17. We'll see it in a few holes. And Ryan
That's
Watson
not a
at
good
4
putt
down.
from Ryan Watson. That never had a chance, and he'll be unhappy with that performance.
From inside the trees, Eric Hjorth Olsen with the huge birdie to move himself into a tie for third place. Turkey finish for Eric after a couple of bogeys. That's a great
Yeah,
finish.
he was running and skipping it in, and he should have.
We've seen Eric on coverage before. He's a very good player. Ryan also tied for third here, and he's got an advantage of being old and having played disc golf for a very long time. He's got a very low PDGA number, so ties play in his favor.
Yeah, he's played a lot in the 40-plus division as well and won and podiumed there. I think this will be the first time we'll see him on MPO coverage, so that's exciting.
Yeah, I love it when the MP40 guys step up. As an MP40 guy with faded dreams myself, it just gives me a little bit of hope and excitement. Hole 15, the biggest hole on the course, 830-foot par 5. Goes straight for a while, then turns about 45 degrees to the right. It goes uphill toward the second and third shots, so it's a big drive is really going to help you out on this one. The more distance you can get on the drive means you're having less of a chippy shot for your second shot and more of a distance biting off. So it's kind of a snowbally hole. And Thomas is going with the Simon line.
Yeah, honestly, at this point in Canada, it's the Thomas line.
It's the
but
Thomas
he
line.
gets so much off the tee here. Some small trees in front of him, but it looks like he can just throw a small layup over the top and be in the hunt for anything.
Yeah. Again, the 1,100 meter elevation not doing him any favors on that big Sky Annie. That's something that might have stayed over on angle at somewhere like Vancouver or Prince Edward Island, but still managed to bite off a lot of distance. Justin hitting early on the right-hand side. There is, if not a Mando, there's OB that makes cutting off the corner really sketchy. So I imagine he'll have a look from there and see how dangerous he wants to play this thing. And
Yeah, I think Justin was probably looking to bite off a bunch more in that straight shot. That is definitely one of his strengths, throwing far on a dead straight line.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks like he was kind of turned off by the idea of cutting the corner there. You did see a gap, but you really have to make sure you get all the way through. Otherwise, you're taking stroke and distance penalty. So let's see if Carver goes for that gap. No, it looks like he's just playing back to the fairway as well. And he's going to get down there not too far from where Thomas's drive went. Good recovery. Smart play.
Yeah, that
Opens
looks
up
like
the
a
angle.
great position there for Culver.
Yep.
Or Carver. Carver and Culver. I
Yep.
haven't had that mistake yet. Now we get
We'll
to see
edit it in post, Jesse. Don't worry about it.
That's looking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, should be a very routine upshot for him there.
Routine upshot, but this hole is surrounded by OB, maybe Hazard. No, I think it's Hazard. So it's a semi-islandy green is what greets you at the end of this monster par 5. They did a really nice job of designing. The green is brand new. They brought in a bunch of logs to make this really cool islandy green. So even if you're where Thomas is after that shot, it is a bit of a clencher of an upshot to this green.
I like that design. It stops people from playing these spray approaches over the trees when they're already out of position. It puts more emphasis on the drive and second shot, and I think that's good design.
Yeah, and you can, oh, yeah, there we go. Short right, and Carver is in the hazard. I totally agree with you. Oh, that looks sawed off as well.
Looks like he's leaking as well. Maybe feeling the pressure after 2 shots that weren't up to his standard.
Mm-hmm. Thomas going with a jump putt, but you could see the
leaking as well.
Though you could see the wind rippling his shirt on that one. That is not the shot where you want to get a disc up in the air.
Yeah, those shots need to be lower to stay out of the wind, but my goodness, throwing a low approach into this green brings in so much more skip and action that's a danger in its own right.
Yeah, really well executed by Nick there.
Yeah, that's a great shot for Nick. Yeah, and even scary to run from the hazard from deep because of the potential for a second hazard
There's
landing.
a whole other hazard.
This hazard's got a hazard.
Yeah.
Carver never laying up though.
Oh
And
no!
it's rolling.
And I don't think he saw the roll away. He was already frustrated and turned away just by hitting the cage there. And he was left with a longer comebacker than he was expecting.
Still well within his range, but yeah, never feels good to walk up to a shot you thought was 15 feet closer.
No, it's the absolute worst.
Yeah, Thomas from about circle's edge, making good on his par.
Yeah. That's a great birdie.
Yeah, Nick gets his birdie to go under par. Hopefully he can hang on to that through the rest of the round. A strong finish here from Nick, still puts him into chase or third card territory. Definitely, again, we've said it 100 times, not the performance so far that he's wanted, but far from out of the hunt.
Yeah, and this was the second hardest hole on the day, and Nick's birdie was one of 4 birdies on the day. Miguel, Sylvain, and Jonathan Munka were the other birdies on this one. This one averaged well over par, 5.4. This course has got some serious teeth. As we get a preview here of the upshot on hole 18, one of the really distinctly new holes on this course. And Sam Sullivan with a long putt from the bottom of the screen there, off the band.
Catching some band. That's still a great effort from deep.
Yeah, so after leading the tournament, he's going to take a few steps back. He's not going to make it on the lead card, but well played by Sam. Connell taking a double and a bogey on 14 and 15. Like I mentioned, the 2 hardest holes on the course, so he's got through there. And we get a little Derek Holshear cameo with a nice birdie putt.
That's a great birdie from him. A little frustrating for Connell probably having such a hot start to kind of fumble on 2 holes. But good bounce back birdie.
Yeah, that was an eagle run. So he actually managed to get in with a tap in for birdie. Big throwers.
At the time of this recording, Connell has just won the under 18 distance title at the World Championships, throwing somewhere north of 720 feet.
I saw a little bit of a video clip. He went full 360. I didn't know he had that, but he definitely has that. I can get a disc out 715 feet. Just give me a couple shots at it, and no problem. Still a problem. Thomas has made his way to the top of the leaderboard here, and he's through the 2 hardest holes there. So he's 1 up on Miguel, your clubhouse leader at 6 down. Connell is lurking with 1 hole to play now at 5 down, tied with Ryan and Griffin. So we're starting to get some clarity here. There's only a handful of people that still have a shot at being on lead card going into round 2. Hole 16 is a par 4, 515 feet, goes over this hump down into a valley. A lot of these guys are going to have the arm to get it past this huge tree that we're flying by, but this is where your disc is going to get caught up if you make a mistake. You can see people getting sort of between that row of trees and the basket on a lot of their drives, and if you put it in the right place, you got a pretty easy upshot. But this one does drop off pretty significantly behind the basket as well. So this is one where your drive is going to save you a lot of headaches because you really don't want to be sending a disc with a lot of oomph going into this basket.
Yeah, a lot of want on a second shot there. Seems like it can produce big problems.
Yeah. I like the flight of that one. If it hadn't hit a tree, it probably would have cleared into a nice opening for him.
Yeah, beautiful shape on that shot, but looks like it's going to put him into those saplings there, which is one of the most difficult natural bunkers you'll see in this type of forest of golf.
Yeah. And Thomas, I don't know if he planned to turn that one over as much as he did, but it got him into the row of trees. He's going to have a pretty tricky approach from there. Oh, that's the shape right there.
Yeah, you can see the wind lifting that one, but he ends up pushing it far enough to be on the deep side of the saplings. As long as he can make a good stance there, that should be pretty routine up and down for Carver.
Yeah, I think he's got a forehand window from there, which will probably be the approach. Oh, wow. Early release for Justin.
Couple uncharacteristic backhand misses from Justin. Hopefully not running out of steam here late in the round. Let's see if he's got it in him to go all the way for it with this dangerous green.
And dangerous run-up, too, as he absolutely destroys a piece of deadwood. Oh, yeah.
Oh, baby.
Give me some of that. That is
just
a recovery shot.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. You can smile after that one.
Yeah, I'm glad he got out of that uninjured. We did see Miguel roll his ankle, and you can see the amount of debris on the ground and the rugged nature of this course definitely makes footwork one of the additional challenges.
Mm-hmm. That's kind of Kamloops. It's got it's rugged disc golf for sure. It's not this is not a ball golf course. You're in sort of a semi-mountainous location. What would you call it? It's somewhere between hilly and mountainous.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially this Logan Lake course. If you remember the old layout, the first hole was maybe the most uphill par 3 I'd ever played.
Yeah, that was a par 3. In my head, it was a par 4.
Yeah, it was a bit of a pull, that hole. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Carver puts his close. Should be business as usual and off with a par.
And no way he's going to run that after that beautiful recovery shot. That should be a pretty routine par there for Justin.
Or birdie for Carver, excuse me, I think. Yep, Nick manages to get his out.
Wow.
Thomas just getting a little distracted by that beautiful view behind, maybe. That's the second or third time we've seen him leave one just a little bit left and splash it off the chains.
Yeah. This is the best view on the course. That valley below. Beautiful, typical Kamloops area stuff. It's worth the hike up to the top of this course to have a look back down the valley. And this hole, surprisingly, this hole played under par as we get the Thomas Gilbert statue in the background. Doesn't faze Nick. The second shot is a lot more open, and I imagine that's why it played slightly under par. The drive is the more challenging of the shots on this one for sure. Okay.
Connell showing us some beautiful forehand touch, putting his close there.
Nice birdie.
And Josh just sneaking it over. Shout out to Josh, great guy, representing his sponsors, Limber Disc Golf, Upper Park, and Castaplast.
Oh man,
I was talking in Connell's putt.
Yeah,
sorry.
Courtesy warning. Still makes the par. So 5 down. We'll see if it's enough to get him onto lead card here. 2 holes to play for our feature group here on hole 17. Another one of the new additions here. This is a beautiful, it's not an island, but there is some OB. This little square of logs here is a little OB island in front of the green. And then there is OB long as well on this one. Really picturesque. This is like your dream ace run. This is everybody had their cell phones out in the practice rounds on this one. Just gorgeous. And it's a really fun throw. Something like a straight mid or a straight putter that just floats his way down to the basket. Or we'll go the Carver route, force over a reliable forehand.
Yeah, I
get over
really
the
don't
OB.
think this is the most optimal play here, but I do think when you have OB and stuff, it is a great strategy to go to a comfort shot, and that is a shot that Carver throws so well.
100%. And this one is a little early out of his hand. No, it's still tracking towards the basket here. Just a little bit low.
Yeah, that was a bit of a pucker line with that OB corner there, but
Yeah. This is more the line that I'd kind of imagined people would be taking. And it
yeah,
is
backhand flex lands nice and soft.
beautiful shot. That's the kind of throw Thomas can do in his sleep, I think. He's those controlled Annie putter shots he's really good at.
Yeah, I think this is a really great distance for Thomas to have tons of control. I actually overheard a conversation he was having at Nationals in PEI a couple of years back where the iconic, what we call the Hobbit hole on Hillcrest with all the bridges, he was complaining that it was too short for him to power down, where it was between a jump putt and the softest throw he could physically do.
Wow.
Whoa.
Carver.
Another Carver putt. What is that, 45, 50 feet?
He's made
All day, every day.
Yeah. Loves it. He's made hundreds of feet of putts, I think is fair to say this round.
Oh, absolutely. Love to see a smile on his face, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And a great putt for
Beautiful
Nick.
putt. Just a little inconsistent this round. You see flashes of what makes Nick a great player. He's just an all-around quality disc golfer. He's got a forehand, he's got a backhand, he's got touch, he's got a putt. And from,
Just short.
Yeah, from right next to the OB, Justin was ace running that one again. And he almost skipped OB long, so it was. I think he was inbounds there by a foot. You could see a couple of red stakes there, and he is going to break up the star frame with another par. So Carver has moved ahead of Justin and Nick on this card. He's at 3 down with 1 hole to play. I think he's going to be hard pressed. Evaluating life choices there is Justin Zimmer.
Nice, perfect pro side putt there for Nick. Love to see that one in slow motion.
Yeah. And now, hole 18, par 4, 499 feet. This is a treacherous drive. You're going along a ridge side here. The ridge falls off to the right, which is where the basket will be, but it's extremely tight, and you can kind of play it along this walking path if you get a nice turnover. A forehand is difficult because it's going to skip over to the right, and if you get to the wrong part of this hill, you can be in some trouble. So having a backhand that stays up on top of the ledge here and then finding the exact right gap, which we had a difficult time just doing with the drone, this is a very challenging finishing hole here. Beautiful backdrop for the green though. As you can see, look back at the hillside where all these people are going to be throwing down from. Gorgeous finishing hole, really nice change to this course. The old par 3 downhill finishing hole here at Copper Ridge was like a blind downhill shot. There wasn't really a well-defined fairway, and then Brett and the team have really turned this into a beautiful, iconic finishing hole, I think.
Yes, the old 18 was also maybe the most downhill hole I had ever played. You could throw a spin putt and have it go 300 feet or have it go 300 feet past the basket. It was fun, but it was very backyard style disc golf. Not something I would ever want to have my tournament hinge on.
No, and you couldn't see the basket, and so it was also lost disc central.
That's right.
Oh, and Nick had the perfect move on that thing. That was going to get close to heading down the hill towards the basket. Just catches one final tree. Still well played, and he should have a shot from there. Thomas is looking to get bonus distance with a forehand, but he hit something early as well.
Just a little high.
It really, this angle back to the tee box here really gives you an idea of how tight this drive is.
Yeah, and there's no guaranteeing, even if you get all the distance, it seems like placement and distance control is still important to give yourself a look at one of the good gaps to cross over down to the green.
And speaking of gaps, Justin basically out through the hole. He managed to miss every single one of those trees you can see in frame there. He might have an opening beyond where anyone would have imagined a drive could go on this hole. That was crazy. We'll see what he's left with when he gets up there, but
and that's why you pay the camera guy.
Mm-hmm. Guess who took that one?
Andre Lauder.
100%.
Oh, Thomas finding a skinny gap, and he's going to try and make it all the way around the corner.
So you can see the disc flip over there. He's about halfway down the hill. Maybe jump putt territory from there. Sketchy jump putt. This is almost the same place where Miguel rolled his ankle earlier.
Yeah, playing on any sort of slope is always an additional challenge, and then you add sticks, roots, rocks, and bumps, and holy, that was a beautiful split of those trees, but unfortunately Nick catches a little bit of hanging foliage.
Yeah, just a bit of bad luck. On his drive, got caught up late, and on his upshot, got caught up late. As we see Carver thread one.
Yeah, Carver correcting and taking it wider, but he's got just a little too much angle and finds the same tree that Nick does.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, Justin had this approach from a part of the course that I guarantee you nobody ever practiced. One more tree to beat. Pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah. Thomas.
Get
From
there.
a different area code. Oh my God. Amazing run.
Never get tired of it. Never get tired of it. Watching Thomas Gilbert is always worth the price of admission. Wow. Good long run from Carver, too.
Yeah, Carver gets a ton of pop on his putts as well. And he seems to be a guy that can go both with the high falling push style putt or a more direct spin putt, depending on the conditions, which is a great skill set to have.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We have seen both of those. Like, he'll throw that laser putt that, if you miss, is going to have a 25 foot. Oh, that looked really good. Comebacker. But yeah, he's got that touchy, floaty half bit, is what I like to call it. All right. Solid finish for Nick. 2 down on the back, so he made up some of those bogeys that he had on the front. Not the day that he was hoping for, obviously.
No, but like I said before, these guys will live to fight another day. So much disc golf, and definitely nobody out of the tournament here.
Yeah. All pars. We saw it 4 very different ways, but we all got there in the end. And Thomas Gilbert's going to get in at 8 down. That's a real good round out here.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure if we'll see the scoreboard putting him in first in a second. I think we might. But yeah, a couple more putts dropping for him, and that could have maybe even been a 12, which would have been absolutely remarkable.
Yeah. 8 down, played as a 10-21 rated round. And you can see why. A couple of strokes up over his nearest competitor, Miguel. So we're going to see Thomas with Miguel, Ryan Watson, and making his channel debut is Griffin Vester from Lisac Island, just beating out Connell and Eric on PDGA numbers. Carver still hanging out with his buddy Jonathan Monk, and Luke Levesque and Sam Sullivan rounding out your top 10. So a lot of familiar names, a lot of really good players, and we're only 5 strokes between first and 10th here, Jesse.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I'm not mistaken, we are moving over to the more open course tomorrow, where some of these guys like Luke and Johnny can really showcase their power and maybe crawl their way closer to the top of this leaderboard.
Unfortunately, you are mistaken. Round 2 is back at Logan Lake, and then we're going to Mac Island for the 3rd and final round. So get ready, buckle up. Can we see 2 more aces in the second round? Only one way to find out.
Keep Locked Apart Pro.
Hell yeah. See you in round 2.